Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Susie, roll call, please.
Councilmember Groves.
Here.
Councilmember Salzweedl.
Here.
Councilmember Yankovic.
Here.
Mayor DeVore is absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Chambers.
Here.
I'll make a motion to excuse the absence of Mike DeVore.
I'll support.
Susie? We have to roll call that one.
Councilmember Groves.
Yes.
Councilmember Salzweedl.
Yes.
Councilmember Yankovic.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chambers.
Yes. Citizens' discussions for items not on the agenda. Do we have anybody this evening?
We had the consent
Got it.
agenda first. Yes, sir.
I'm a little rusty.
That's okay. I'll be your wing man tonight.
I'll look for approval for the
Make a motion that we do that.
See, it's already
Who are
derailed.
you guys?
Okay, so we have no comment, old business.
We'll have to
Would
vote
you like
on
a
that,
roll
too.
call on that?
We'll have to roll call, sir. Go down.
You touched my look at me easy.
Councilmember Groves.
Yes.
Councilmember Salzweedl.
Yes.
Councilmember Yankovic.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chambers.
Yes. Well, that was fun. Can I do old business now? Thanks.
Citizen discussion for items not on the agenda, yes, you may.
I see we have none. Old business, Kent County Library Annual Report.
Just got a
I
comment.
know, you get to see me again for something. Hello, Nicole Richmond. I'm your representative on the KDL board for the Lowell area. I'm pleased to be here with our team from KDL who will share the nuts and bolts of the impact the library has had in the last year, but first I get to brag on it a bit. I became the Lowell representative on the board earlier this year, and it has been amazing getting to be a part of this world-class organization. But even before that, I'd always had a love for KDL and our branch in particular. Owning a business just down the road and being a family that regularly uses the library, I see the value they add in our community on a regular basis, such as providing great events, resources, and space for others, including letting me and a bunch of other folks warm up and charge our devices there when we all lost power for a week because of the polar vortex. There are a lot of tangible economic and social benefits of the library, such as supporting kids while they finish the Mission Read Challenge, providing lunches as a part of their summer programming, and giving us all a place to relax and find a great read. But there are also the intangibles, the positive force they are in the community, the support they have for city events and organizations, and the joy and kindness they show every patron who walks in the doors. Thank you for your support of KDL and the Englehart Library in particular, and now I'll turn it over to the folks who do the real work.
Well, you better stand up, see it. Hey, my name's Lance Warner. I'm the director of the Kent District Library, and it's a pleasure to be here this evening. I haven't done this annual report. I do try to do 27 of them. I don't always accomplish that because a lot of them are stacked up. But I just want to thank you all for your support and for your friendship and for being part of the KDL family. I'll be brief. 2020 was a real tough year for us. Our numbers went down. The governor shut us down. We dealt with the fallout of that. People really kind of started using the library remotely, electronically, a lot more than they had in the past. And then 2021 was better than 2020. Our numbers were coming up slightly. We were about 2/3 as busy as we used to be. And I'm happy to say in 2022, our numbers are coming up some more. We're about 3/4 as busy as we used to be, although I will say that our electronic circulation has been astronomical, and we're actually in the top 60 libraries in the entire world on ebook circulation. If you do take a per capita calculation, we're probably top 30 in the world. And you think that there's, we're around like 9 billion people in the world, and we're in the top, tippy top of that for electronic circulation, because we know that it's important to meet people where they're at. And also, as a means to that end, you know, we have managed to get Wi-Fi hotspots together. We have about 1,100 that we distribute throughout the county. Generally speaking, they are targeted toward more rural areas and I know that they're a very popular item and that they're checked out of the Englehart branch here. And we also recognize, during the COVID crisis, food insecurity was a huge thing. Kids weren't in school, so we made a huge effort to roll out our food program more robustly, and we've continued doing that. We partner with Feeding America, and our food program is really provided a lifeline for a lot of kids in the summer. We've given out thousands and thousands and thousands of meals to area kids, because we know the kids have a full belly, are way better positioned to utilize a resource than kids that are hungry. Because when you're hungry, all you think about is being hungry. When you have a full belly, suddenly you're kind of better positioned to have fun. And with that, I'll turn over to the real superstar, Sandy, who's like Elvis of Eastern Kent County, and a true rock star. And again, I appreciate all of you. I want to thank you for your service. I know this hasn't been the easiest time to be a public servant, but I appreciate all of you, appreciate your friendship, and appreciate your support of the branch. And with that, I'll turn over to Sandy. Thank you.
They kind of talked about last year. We're almost 3/4 of the way through this year, so I thought I'd just get you some highlights of what we had this year. Hopefully this is the last time I'm going to come in front of you and mention COVID. Start of the year, we were dealing with staff who were out sick with COVID. In February, we once again shut down our in-person programs. But when April came around, we opened it back up. We had our in-person programs again. In May, we had our school visits for the first time since 2019, which was a huge thing for us because that matters so much to us. And then, of course, we had our summer programs in person once again. And I mentioned it in one of the monthly reports I gave you, but this summer, one of our programs, the Exotic Zoo, we had over 180 people come for that library program, which was our biggest program we've ever had. The downside so far this year, the biggest one, is if any of you had kids that grew up here in Lowell, you probably knew Miss Linda and Miss Chris. Both of them retired to spend more time being grandparents. So I figured it's fine if people keep on having kids, but no one can have any more grandkids. I don't want any more staff. Trying to focus on local things here. About a year ago, we hired Kurt Lardy. Many of you already knew him as our regional manager when I worked with him. He has gotten involved with Rotary, which is very important here in Lowell, very significant, and so he's volunteering there. Again, we continued our relationship with the museum. If you've been around a while, you know that usually March is Women's History Month, and the Friends of the Library and the Lowell Museum cooperate on a program highlighting women from the neighborhood. This year we had a program on a woman who was born in Virgins. In early 1900s, she was significant in cataloging all the native plants in the Grand Rapids area. She had attended Cornell University, then came back to this area. Coming out of COVID, a rather erudite program, we weren't sure how many people we'd get. We packed out the Lowell Township Hall. Every seat was taken. We had to bring out chairs to seat everybody, which again felt like another victory over COVID. Once again, we were able to participate with Gilda's Club and Laugh Fest. Quite often, because we have a Gilda's Club here in town, we get involved. For several years, we've done what we call Joke Fest. This is where we go to the elementary schools and they get to practice being stand-up comedians. And once again, we were able to do that, another big success. We were able to work with Lowell Community Health. They were doing, again, more studies, more grant opportunities. And it was quite interesting. Our director of marketing and communications had done a survey of library users. And some of that information of what people were interested in, what they wanted, what they would actually show up for, reflected physical and mental health, and we were able to share some of that with Lowell Community Health, and they said that was the most recent up-to-date information they were able to use for their grant requests. This spring, we invited in all the directors from the senior facilities here in town. You've got Maple Ridge, Green Acres, all of those. So we had their activity directors come in so we could tell them what we can do as a library what we can take to them, what they can come to us for, just trying to reach out to another group that may not know what we do. The lunches were mentioned. Probably in a couple of months, I'll be able to tell you the value of what those lunches were. This was our second year of partnering with Feeding America. Once school shuts down, those free lunch, reduced lunch, they're kind of done for a couple months. So we were able to partner with Feeding America. They got a grant from Belmont Engineering this year. Last year it was Subaru. This year they found another grant. Last year the value of lunches that we gave out was a little over $5,000. That was our first year. This year we did much more than that because people knew we had it, knew how it worked, and they were making more use of us. So like I said, in a couple months, hopefully I'll be able to tell you what an impact we were able to make with those lunches. We love working here. We're grateful to be part of this community. And I thought one thing that was interesting to point that out is one of our staff used to live in Wyoming. She bought a house north of Lowell, so she would be closer to So again, thank you for letting us be part of this place. We love it, and we're looking forward to next year. Thank
So
you.
again, the township benefits and
Sandy, I have a question. You mentioned about meals that were fed. Was that just local community meals that were fed, or does it
No,
help
that
the
was-
greater Grand Rapids area?
That was anyone in our branch.
Okay.
Anyone could do it, but we had 14 branches that did it. I think 14 branches were doing it. We didn't sign up to do it in Alto. We didn't think we'd get enough people there, but almost all of the suburban ones did it, and yeah, they were very impressed. Matter of fact, I think it was about the second week. For supply chain issues, we're all tired of hearing that as well. Second week of the program, between how many lunches were being given out and supply chain issues, Feeding America actually ran out of their prepackaged meals, and they went into their stash of ones that they themselves packaged for cases such as that. They only needed to do that for about 4 or 5 days, then their truck that they were expecting did come in. But it was an extremely well-used service this summer.
Thank you.
Charlie, you got an update on 115 Riverside? Are we going to take that one? We will move on. We need to set a public hearing for 1016 North Monroe Industrial Development District. I believe we'll do that. Has to go out, and we'll bring it up on our next meeting, October 3rd. So I'll look for a motion for that.
One thing I'd like to look at is the resolution that's in front of me says it's for a 5-year renewal. And here in our packet, they're asking for 7. So I'd like to get some clarification. Is it 7 years or 5 years on this?
Well, we can table that too until...
Yeah, I mean, with that thing, I think we can go ahead and get the public hearing.
Yeah,
Just clean this
Just to
up.
have clarification.
okay.
Yeah, so, excuse me, did you see the new resolution that I put? It was right in front of you. There added some clarification there.
Oh, so we're only looking for a 5-year, not a 7-year?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I was questioning.
Yes,
Where
this was-
is that?
This was added to the packet this morning to clarify that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Then I have no questions, and I see we can move forward. Support.
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll support.
Okay. Suzie, roll call.
Councilmember Salzweedl,
Yes.
Councilmember Yankovic,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chambers,
Yes.
and Councilmember Groves.
Yes.
Okay. Charlie, the IT support.
All right, good evening. As City Council is aware, Light and Power and the City of Lowell have partnered on quite a bit of IT infrastructure, leveraging the partnership to manage costs for everybody, bring the up-to-date technology and, share the costs across both. But in 2019, we deployed a brand new data center. Without getting into the details of what it's comprised of, it's multiple pieces of IT equipment. But originally that equipment came with a 3-year support agreement, 3-year extended warranty, or a warranty period essentially, and we have the opportunity to extend that service agreement, support agreement for an additional 2 years. By taking advantage of this now, it guarantees that our IT vendors will have the manufacturer-specific support that they need should anything come up. It also ensures next business day replacement for critical parts. So it's really a critical agreement to maintain as long as the life of the asset is still being, or still has life in the asset, still being utilized. So I will highlight that by renewing for the next 2 years, Dell does offer a 45% discount. We were able to get them to extend the quote deadline through tomorrow, so we could bring it before the council before the quote expired. So acting on it is in the city's best interest and Light and Power's best interest, but the total cost to extend the 2 year, for the additional 2 years on 6 different pieces of equipment, it totals $14,562.78. Those costs are shared between Light and Power and the City of Lowell, but since City Manager Mike Burns was not able to attend today, he asked me to come tackle this one for him. So we are making a recommendation to authorize City Manager Mike Burns to proceed with the support renewal as quoted, not to exceed the $14,562.78, and then City Administration and Lowell Light Power General Manager will sign the costs. Yes, sir.
Rough idea of how much value of the equipment we're protecting?
I do not have that number with me. I
mean,
the total data center was north of $150,000.
Okay, because I'm looking at this going, yeah, warranty for 14, great, 45% off, but what are we protecting for 15 grand? Now I get it.
Yeah, this is, and I can't go into too many details because it does share quite a bit of our IT infrastructure, which is something that we do protect. We don't advertise which components are there, but I can say that the data center is really the core of the IT infrastructure. That basically every computer, every server, every technology-based process or activity hinges on the data center. So I won't say it's the most important piece, but without the IT data center, I'm not exactly sure how business would run. And I can't speak for the city side of things, but for Light and Power, it would be very detrimental to our ability to function.
I can tell you, without this service agreement, we're really at their mercy, and if they tell you it's a week, because we're not, the contract, you wait a week, especially if they don't have it there, but this guarantees you we're down for no more than 24 hours. It should.
Yeah, this is next business day replacement, which right now in the supply chain, I was gonna say, I was trying to avoid that term, but with the way things are, it's more critical now than it ever has been. It's always been important because you don't want to shut the business down you don't want to shut it down for a day, but that's about as quick as is economically feasible to obtain. You get any narrower, tighter window than a day, and the costs really reflect that expedited timeline.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Charlie? No. I'll look for a motion to approve the $14,562.78.
So moved.
I'll support.
Roll call?
Councilmember Yankovic,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Groves,
Yes.
and Councilmember Salzweedl.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, board and commission reports, Cliff. Okay.
Got nothing.
I thought you were going to talk about the Queen.
Apparently, the Queen Elizabeth is dead. For those of you unaware, 12 days of coverage.
Jim?
I attended the last Lowell Power meeting, and they are doing some wonderful things. There was a huge tree branch that was hanging off of Lowell's Road, and that it was loose. It could have easily fell and crushed anybody, and they had to borrow a truck to get it because there was 100 foot in the air. So Lowell Power took care of that part of it. ITC helped, did they not? That was the company.
Yes, ITC helped, and I would also like to thank the two gentlemen to my right. DPW and police department helped with traffic control, and chief came out and got some really good pictures as well, so.
Yeah, they were awesome. One thing about Lowell Power, even though they had a pretty massive outing, they were still able to keep it at 99.9% efficiency, and that's outstanding in the industry that we're that high on that part of it. They got to wrapping up a lot of projects. I know there's a new power line coming down the back way, and due to the cost of things like that part of it, Charlie and the board are doing their really due diligence about keeping rates low, buying when we need it, not buying in advance and paying for that. So hats off to Perry and the board and Charlie for doing that part. And there was one, Jeremy had an anniversary, 2 years?
Yes, Jeremy Wilson celebrated 2 years.
2 years, yes, with that. So that's all I have on my report.
Okay. Leah?
I met with the Chamber of Commerce, believe it or not, they are starting planning for Christmas. So
Oh, yeah, it's kind of a big
that's,
thing here.
that's where we're at. That's it for me.
Okay. Planning Commission, we approved a special land use permit for the building behind the old Thomas Chevrolet building. It'll be a asphalt seal company's going to move in there. So that was it on our docket for that night. So that. Any questions on the budget report, which I wouldn't have an answer for anyway. Good. Same with monthly reports, managers, he's gone. There's no appointments, so council comments, Cliff.
I was at the Fallsburg Arts Festival Sunday, and I was just telling Jim before we started, it was packed. Saturday, the sales I talked to 3 different artists. One was her first year, another guy was there for 4 years, and then there's a guy that does leather stuff that's been going there for 40 years. And they all said they couldn't believe how busy it was Saturday. It just nonstop. So it was looking good out there.
Jim.
Craig, did you have anything you wanted to add about the Fallsburg Festival? I know you were out there sharing it, got a lot of people involved in it, and through you guys' hard work to make sure the public was aware of it on that part of it?
Well, we were up on the south porch for our 50th year selling cookies. We didn't have the sales that we had last year, but it was a good year nonetheless. We handed out pinwheels to the kids and the kids at heart, and just did our thing.
Awesome. That's all I have.
You got it. I went to Frankenmuth, and as much as I'd like to see our town be that busy, walking their main street, thank goodness we have our town. It's very easy to get around and move around, but it is impressive what they've done. Their heated sidewalks and landscaping, and it's interesting over there. Christmas through Lowell is coming up. It is a big event for our town, so that's why Liz brings it up this early, because it takes this long.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Jim?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:24.
I'll support.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We go.